Greetings, bloggers, vloggers, followers, and potters. Dustin here from Dustin's Dynasty with another edition of this week's vlog. Before we get into this vlog, I want to introduce myself. My name is Dustin. I'm 39. Um, I have autism and some other diagnoses, and every week I share a little bit of my story here. I've been living independently for 6 years, and I've had a job for over 15, almost 15 years now. And I'm very well versed in autism. I've been diagnosed 25 years ago, and we just have I have a lot of wealth and a lot of knowledge, and I share my experience and what I see in the journey of life. So if you want to stay tuned, we're going to go ahead into our next this week's topic, and we're going to talk about emotions and energy this week. It's sometimes we don't realize, maybe I don't, and maybe I'm starting to realize more as time goes on, about emotions and energy and how they kind of interact with each other and how they work hand in hand in sort of that way. um, you know, just trying to find, that happy medium. Sometimes, emotions can run high and they can cause a lot of energy within our bodies. There's always the anxiety that we experience, and anxiety itself is a big comorbidity of autism itself, being autistic, and it throws a lot of adrenaline and a lot of cortisol. And so when things are challenging, or you're fearful, or you get into that flight freeze pattern, um, you just wanna do whatever you want with it. And sometimes, a common place for me is that I want to run away from things. I want things to go away. I don't want to deal with them anymore. I want them just to be, or I want them to be the way that I think they should be. And sometimes we can't have that. Sometimes we don't have the ability to make those decisions. Sometimes there are things that are out of our control that we just can't fix. And as much as we want to fix them as human beings, it's just impossible. And when we have a lot of energy about a situation, or we have emotions that run deep, there's always things that we're passionate about as autistic human beings, or neurotypical human beings. But when things become, when things that are involving us directly, and they involve, change and things of that nature, they become a little elevated, and it can be hard to come back down off what you feel you want. And sometimes, if you have a voice, or an easy way to communicate, and especially if you have a vocal way of communicating things, sometimes that doesn't come across when you're full of energy and you're full of emotions that you're feeling about a situation. um, you know, the way you come across really matters to something. And when you're addressing something, it's very important not to react in a very negative way. And, that thankfully, that's been years of therapy that has taught me that. But sometimes things get really, really heated. There's a lot of energy, maybe not because of you, or maybe there's energy elsewhere in that arena. And it can cause you, as you're sometimes you're a highly sensitive person, and I know I am. And when you catch on to these things, and they're very triggering, and they can catch on to you, and you want to say these things, and part of you knows that doing that in that sort of manner can be very reactive, can be very negative, make others see you in a light that you don't want to be seen in, can cause some negative consequences. So, we know that, and a lot of people, with less support needs on the autism spectrum, such as myself, we say what's on our mind sometimes because we have so much energy built in, because we're feeling passionate about something, or we're angry, or we're upset, or whatever emotion we're feeling. And we go to express that feeling, and we don't think about what's being said. We don't consider how others are going to feel. We don't consider, you know, how, how what the effects of that are against others. We don't realize, we don't see who else is in the room. We don't see that, maybe somebody who looks up to us for all the progress that we made, is sitting right across the table and is watching the below by below of this reactive energy come out of you that you don't want them to see. And for me, that happened once, and it was I still to this day feel hurt about it. And, it taught me, you know, when it gets to that point, it was a meltdown actually, but when it gets to that point, when people notice things and are concerned and say things, it really takes you aback, and it makes you think about how to react in that way. Granted, there were some other issues after that, but in that same venue, but I didn't realize I was more secluded. And I think, sometimes you have to realize, it's hard to dance around things, and you're not realizing, okay, maybe this, whatever happens, and even though that happened, that probability goes down because things have improved, and they may not be improved in the way that you think they should be improved, or the way that you think that you think they're gonna be solvable, or what you feel the punishment or whatever energy you feel should be passed off to that person. You may not feel that way, but it's not, it's like your needs are being met, and you have to realize the whole situation when it comes to having that energy and having that emotion. And is it really worth having that energy or that emotion? Because if what you're experiencing is not even valid or has value to it, does it even set value now? Is it going to do anything for you? Is it keeping you from living your life and being your best self? And granted, I have this, I have these barriers sometimes of things that, I want to fix, or I want people to feel because I'm angry or I'm upset or I have this energy about something, but it's not going to fix it. And, sometimes it's hard to process that. Sometimes it's hard. Your body's just filled with these ruminating thoughts sometimes, or this anger, or this feeling that you're feeling, and you have to let it out in your own special way. And maybe that's why this vlog is what it's for tonight. But it's just, you have to understand there's things that you can't change. And autistic people thrive off of routines. And when something isn't, a lot of times when something isn't as we expect it to be, or as what it should be, it kind of makes us angry and makes us upset, and we want to be angry at others, and we just want to feel that energy, and sometimes it's just not healthy, and we have to find ways, and I'm working at that too, where I'm finding ways that's more healthy for me to express that energy, to expend that energy, to be better about it, instead of trying to hold it in and be angry and upset, because nobody else deserves your anger. Nobody else deserves your emotions. And that is that's something I think you don't see. One time I was at a Walmart, and I was angry. We were putting packages in the car, and I was just so angry with the way it was going, and I screamed. And I think these other people in the aisle next to us, in the next parking row, looked at us, and these guys, they said something like, it was a snub thing, and I was like, I don't want to ever do that again, because you're not seeing, even as I'm a mature adult, and I think I'm mature, I'm almost 40, but you think these things because you know it's just like, it's the principle of it. It's like, that's not who you want to be seen as. You are this person who is respected in so many ways, and seen as happy-go-lucky, and seen as can be positive and happy, and enduring, and can do so much for the world. But yet in this hidden corner is all this feeling and all this energy. And sometimes we have to, and I know I have to work at it, but sometimes that energy is just so consuming, and it rides you, and it ruminates, and it never stops sometimes. And sometimes we don't realize how it stops. We don't realize how much, how much energy that is. And then maybe I'm a little energized about it because I need to get that out, but it's like you don't understand like how something, even, it sticks in your head, and you have them looping ruminative thoughts, and it just, you have to find that healthy release. If you don't find that healthy release, you're not going to, you're never going to get rid of it. You're going to have that buildup of that adrenaline, and you're going to have that buildup of that cortisol forever and a day. And it's just going to be too difficult. And I think there's been many nights I've just fell asleep, because I can't deal with it anymore. And so, so much time has been wasted on just, this energy processing of just these feelings that really I shouldn't even be having. There should be joy, there should be gratitude, there should be excitement for the things I can do. There should be so much energy that's to the good instead of to the bad. And that's just it's very challenging sometimes, but it's reality. And I think sometimes we have to see that. It's something that I have to work out, but it's part of the autism thing, where you feel these feelings, and it may lie into trauma somewhere too, but there may be pieces where it's trauma, or pieces where it's a big change, and just it's hard to adapt to things. Sometimes we're so rigid, and we expect things to be the way they've been for so long that we have to, and even as they change, and even if that change is better, and it works better for us, sometimes it's hard to imagine that and see that this is the way it is now, and you have to accept it for what it is. And and radical acceptance is a good thing, and it helps me a lot, but sometimes it's hard. Sometimes the thoughts come back, and they're ruminative, and they're very, very overpowering. So you have to work with them, and so it's about that, expressing that energy and letting that energy out, because if you're holding it in, it's just too much. So I hope I got that out, and I think that's a way of me expressing my feeling on that this evening. Just here or there, but sometimes we let our emotions, entangle us, and our energy builds up, and it becomes too much. So I want to thank you for listening this week. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe for more content. We have a great following, and I really appreciate that. If you haven't already, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and X at Dustin's Dynasty. I'm on the web. That address is www.dustinsdynastyusa.com. Lastly, I have a link tree that is the link tree / Dustin's Dynasty. Again, I want to thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe out there, and do something for you today. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.